All right, y'all. Another day, another candidate head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not going to lie to you. Today we're going to talk about Arthur Smith. Man, this was a hard evaluation, guys. Like, he's a very kind of an enigma here when it comes to what his system is, how you define that system. Like, there's some things I can say definitively about him, but this one definitely caused me to have to put in some work and to really think about how I would classify things. So, Arthur Smith, let's get to it, guys. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching this. Once again, guys, my name is Stephen Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. Okay, guys, today's topic. So, we're talking about Arthur Smith, and this is going to be a difficult conversation to have. You guys put me through the ringer on this one because I really had to look into things and really dive down to what was happening. Because, man, there are all kinds of contradicting things with this man. Let me get into it. I'll tell you exactly what I discovered about this guy, okay? If you told me, Gate, come on, man, give us something tangible to take home about, like, how would you define this system? Like, what is his system? It's smash mouth. I don't know what else to say, guys. This is a smash mouth system, all right? I would caution people, don't go all the way back to the 1990s. Like, there's some concepts that are very, familiar to that time. But it's smash mouth in the day and age of today's NFL, okay? There's some subtle things going on here behind, underneath the surface here. Now, why do I call it smash mouth? Because I feel that this system is heavily dependent upon the power lead running play. Okay, that's, to me, kind of their bread and butter, what they do. And they try to hit you from multiple formations with it, and they try to hit you in multiple ways with it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing. You're pulling the backside guard over to the hole you're trying to create, and you're bringing a lead blocker, whether that's a fullback, a running back, a tight end, a receiver. That's what you're trying to do. Like, no matter how you look at it, guys, that is what is going on with this offense, okay? They will definitely mix in some zone concepts. I saw a lot of inside zone, but I am quite certain that they also run some outside zone too, but inside zone I kept seeing it constantly on the film here. I will say that this is very much a team that runs the ball to set up the pass. So it's not Doug's philosophy of pass to get to the run. It's the exact opposite of it. It's to run to set up your pass. And off of these runs, they work in a lot of play-action passing, guys. This is one of the better play-action passing teams in the NFL because of that. And in addition to working in play-action passes, you'll also see them use a lot of boots. So they'll use some bootlegs, too, to kind of get their quarterback to the edges of the perimeter, get a quick and easy read for them. And if it ain't there, they'll let Tannehill take off and try to pick up some yards here, guys. It is not an RPO-heavy offense, guys. I mean, RPO is almost non-existent with this offense. I did not see the run-pass option really displayed at all, to be quite honest. I mean, I'm sure they used it a few times, but the games I checked out, I didn't see it used not even once. I will say that the ratio here is exactly 50-50. So the pass-to-run ratio is dead even when you look at this offense. All right, guys, I don't want to give away too much. So what I want to do now is just kind of like get us started to transition into talking about the running scheme, right? Arthur Smith's running scheme. I want to show you guys some examples of the power lead, and show you some examples of basically what's going on with the zone blocking scheme they use. I'll give you some of the positives, some of the negatives, and I'll go into a deeper discussion about how I see playmakers in this offense. All right, y'all. Let's roll the film. As I was watching film of this football team, I noticed a couple of tendencies here. Number one is, like I said, guys, they really love to play that power lead running system, okay? Here's an example of the power lead right here, guys. So Tennessee comes out in 13-man personnel. You can already see you have 2 tight ends that are going to be over to your boundary side of the field there. They're on the very end. They're in-line tight ends. Your third tight end, you're not going to see. You guys remember 13 means 1 running back, 3 tight ends. By proxy, that means there's only 1 wide receiver on the field. The player you don't see, you'll see in a second. See, what's going to happen is Jono Smith will come on a jet motion. You're going to see Tannehill, kind of moves that foot and kind of stomps it a little bit. That is the motion signal for Jono Smith to then come into, that jet motion, that jet sweep motion. But they're not here to play action off of that. They're not here to fake that per se. They're here to create that lead block with that. All right, now as you can see at the hike, watch your right guard. Watch what the right guard does. He's going to swing around, and he's going to open that up, and he's going to block. So right here, you got your little power run. This is nothing more than a lead power, or power lead, I guess. When they're not trying to absolutely just push you off the line of scrimmage and move forward here with that power lead, one of the other things I did notice about this team is they'll try to make your defense get tired by running you basically, horizontally. Like they're going to make you chase them on zone stretch and just on stretch, outside stretch plays in general, guys. They love to run those 2 plays in particular. All right, ladies and gents. So outside zone. This is just a little outside zone stretch. Let me be very specific here. What you're going to have here is watch everybody on the line, guys. We're in 12-man personnel from Tennessee. You can see if you draw a line down the screen, look at your boundary side, look at your field side, you have an inline tight end on the boundary side. Your second tight end is playing the role of the fullback, basically, or he's basically an H-back is what we would call basically a tight end in this role. He's in the I formation, okay? The line is going to slide left on this, the offensive left, not defensive left, offensive left, okay? And what you're going to get here is just watch how everyone kind of climbs. Watch the blocks. Watch how everyone is climbing, right? I call it outside zone stretch because you can see that the center is clearly climbing up to the second level. You can see that one of the tackles is supposed to climb to the second level. Like, just a very good indication what you're looking at is an outside zone stretch. You got Henry who gets to the outside and then immediately gets upfield. This is very much a north and south runner. Outside of those plays, I definitely saw some zone, guys. I saw some inside, and I definitely, now that I really went back and looked at my notes and saw what I wrote down, there were a lot of outside zone as well. I mean, look, this team is a team that was very dominant with running the football. This was a football team that had, a 50-50 run-to-pass ratio and had a 2,000-yard rusher on their team. He had 17 touchdowns on the year. I mean, look, the guy had 16 plays of 20 yards or more on the season. Like, he was a very good football player, and he's definitely one of their big playmakers. And they found a way to get this guy touches and to get this guy into the end zone. To be quite frank, he had 378 attempts on the year. If we compare that to Miles Sanders had about not even half that number at 164 attempts on the year. So we can see the disparity here in terms of the attempts and how often our system ran the ball last season compared to what Arthur Smith's system was running the ball last season. I know that there will be arguments that because they're so run heavy, the system, it's a little blah. Like, maybe it's not that exciting. I would caution to say, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, you have a guy like Miles Sanders in Philadelphia that will be electrifying. Like, this dude had, 3 or 4 plays of 50 yards or greater. I mean, Miles Sanders was electric when he got on the football field, man. Like, put him in this system. In my opinion, what you're doing is you're focusing this offense around Miles Sanders. And that, I think, could be something special. Now, can Miles Sanders hold up to 200 or more attempts? I think 200, yes. But when you start, can he get to 250? Then I see it like maybe you need to have more of a running back by committee, which I do think is a little bit of a sticking point here when we talk about Arthur Smith, because I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying that in this system in Tennessee that he built, this was not a distribute the ball around type system, right? He got the ball to his playmakers and be danged everybody else. He didn't care. Like, you go past Derrick Henry, the next dude only had 47 attempts, 200 yards. That was Jeremy McNichols. Like, this is not a spread the ball around type concept thing. All right, so certainly I could understand that. And the other kind of thing I'll add to this, guys, for you guys to weigh and see what you feel about this guy being your coach is this was a very good offense, and I'm not going to make this complete point yet. Just know this team put up a lot of points in the regular season. In saying that, though, we saw the game that's going to stick in our head the most clearest, or the clearest. There's no reason for the most there. The clearest is going to be what happened in Baltimore. Or I'm sorry, what happened in Tennessee versus Baltimore. Like, they held them to 13 points. If you stop the run, it does make you wonder, was this personnel driven that Tennessee just didn't have enough personnel to come over that? Or is this scheme driven to where the scheme just isn't good enough to survive that? To me, those are all logical questions to ask about the scheme. I think what will be remembered the most about Arthur Smith is what he's been able to do for Ryan Tannehill. And I don't think that can be slept on, guys, because it's important. Ryan Tannehill was just, absolutely given a raw deal in Miami, guys. When you go back and if you look at his splits, so if you go to Pro Football References, their player cards and then go look at their splits, just look at what happened to him in Miami. Like, this kid was in shotgun all the time. He never did play action. He never did RPO. Like, they let the kid hang out to dry. Like, Adam Gase, I'm not high on Adam Gase coming here, guys. Let me just state that clearly. Maybe as an OC, maybe as a quarterback coach, but I'm even iffy on those two things because quarterbacks have struggled or anything, but let me get on from that point. So Tannehill, underneath this system installed by Arthur Smith. Look, he was 30th in the NFL in attempts at 481, okay? So you might say, like, wow, they didn't use that much, so what do we really know about the passing game? Just stick with me. On that, he was able to get him up to a 65.49% completion rate, almost 65.5% completion rate. Not half bad. 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Pretty good. 106.5 quarterback rating, passer rating, I should say, I'm sorry. His passer rating being 106.5. Guys, that's phenomenal numbers, right? Even though he was 30th in attempts, let's look at how they built this system, right? We know that this is centered around the run game, okay? I will say that I didn't see a lot of vertical deep shots, okay? It's not that they don't exist, but it doesn't happen as much as you're going to see in a system like what we just had from Doug Peterson. But what I will say is play action passing. This is very similar to what you see in Minnesota. The Tennessee Titans come out in 12-man personnel. What you're going to see here, guys, if you go from, let me draw a line, the boundary to the field side. Look, on your boundary side, you're going to have Brown set up as your X receiver. On your field side, you're going to have your flanker, who's Davis, who's kind of lined up there. You'll see closer to the formation. What you're going to get here is just a little motion here from the tight end. Tight end comes over, comes close to the formation right next to Jonas Smith. And what you're going to see here is at the hike, we're going to boot. So we're going to play action and then boot Tannehill out. I'll be honest, Jonas Smith does come open on this route, but you can see the defender has his back trying to catch up to Jonas Smith on this route. So Tannehill's just like, why risk the throw? I'm just going to take off and run for a pretty easy first down here. Pretty good example of like how they build in play action with boot and just kind of the scheme that he uses to kind of bring this all together and into fruition. So Ryan Tannehill was number 3 in play action passing in terms of the attempts, but he was number 1 in the yards off of the play action. They were really successful with play action passing and Ryan Tannehill. Now, RPOs, non-existent in this offense. I'm not going to lie to you. It's non-existent. But even with the lack of vertical passing, there are some plays where they'll take vertical shots. Don't get me wrong. And even with the lack of RPOs, there were in-breaking routes. Like, they definitely used Ryan Tannehill to attack the middle of the field. They just used in-breaking routes with their receivers. Tennessee Titans come out once again in a 12-man personnel package. They're going to use a couple of just really easy motions here. They're just using glide motions, it looks like. So the first thing to do is take their tight end who's on the bottom side of your screen, which is the field side. He's the furthest one out there, and they're going to bring him back into the actual formation. Once he arrives back at the formation and he's in line, they'll then take their wide receiver, who's, I believe that's Corey Davis there, and they're going to also glide him kind of in tight to the formation, right? So he's going to kind of come in to where he's really close to that formation. Now, you can see Ryan Tannehill is under center. You can see that Derrick Henry is back deep in the backfield there, good 5-6 yards deep. All right, your X receiver, top of your screen on the boundary side, that's A.J. Brown. You got your Z receiver. This is just a two-man route. Z receiver's on the bottom side of the screen, guys. That's Corey Davis. So Corey Davis is going to run just a little out route. He's going to angle it inward and then come back out and clear out Hayden. And then if you look at the top of your screen, to me it just looks like a basic slant route that it's a dangerous throw, as you can kind of see the throw here. But hey, he gets it past the linebacker, hits him in stride. And this is what this offense can do to you. It gets the ball to the playmakers and lets the playmakers make plays. It's just a two-man route designation. But because everyone was so scared of Derrick Henry, even on a two-man route, it becomes wide open, guys. I mean, it's a heck of a little wrinkle here. That's what the offense was centered around. And one of my biggest fears when I really looked at this offense would have been like, okay, like, holy crap, what was the time to throw? Because on play-action passing, generally speaking, it takes longer for those plays to develop. It wasn't that bad, guys. I was expecting it to be much worse. Out of 41 graded quarterbacks on next-gen stats, he ranked 20th in time to pass, so dead in the middle. He was probably right at what the league average would have been about, which was 2.69 seconds. About 2.7 seconds, guys, to throw the ball. It's about what you expect. If you remember, Carson last year, when it was a much sped-up thing in 2019, had 2.71 seconds. That's about where you need to be. You're still being able to get down the field, but you're not sitting back there making a bologna and cheese sandwich. All right? Compare that to our numbers this season. You had Carson Wentz at 2.91 seconds. It's too long, guys. It's too long unless you're really successful and you're really, just beating the doors off of teams with getting over the top with them, okay? But we weren't. And that ranked 36 out of 41st. The only thing that got worse was Jalen Hurts' 3.11, which was 41st out of 41st. We need a system to where we can take deep shots, but like we're not waiting for routes that aren't coming open because they just weren't designed correctly off of play action when we're not running the ball enough to really sell play action for that kind of stuff to happen, or RPOs. I think that's what this system would give you, okay? That's the positives. The negatives to this is we haven't seen a lot of it, and I don't know how to judge it, because on one hand, we can sit there and say, like, he's just not good with the passing game. The numbers would seem to contradict that, guys. Not only did they have 1,000-yard receiver, but to be real with you, we're splitting hairs if we're not saying that they didn't have two. Because they were 20 yards off having two receivers with over 1,000 yards, with Davis and with Brown. That's results, guys. I'm sorry. Like, it has to be, like I said, there's a lot of contradictions with this offense. It's really hard to weigh it all. It's a difficult sell. Let me get into some concluding thoughts on all this. My concluding thoughts would be, could this system make Miles Sanders a star and like the centerpiece, the focal point of the offense? Absolutely. But there are concerns, right? Because Miles Sanders isn't Derrick Henry in terms of durability. I think he's a much more explosive player. But I don't see this guy taking 300 attempts in a year, 300 handoffs. I can't see that, guys. I mean, that seems to be too much. So then the question would become, could this system be altered to be a two-back set or even a three-back set? It's not really Arthur Smith's MO. Like, he's really been getting the ball in the playmakers and just really not worrying about spreading the ball out. But given the circumstances, maybe he would adapt or adopt to the circumstances we have. But, hey, there's a lot to go on here, right? Like, definitely would be a heavy play-action passing game. Would be way more in-breaking routes than we're used to seeing. Doug just, in my opinion, went away from in-breaking routes entirely too much. I would ask, could he do things with Jalen Reagor here? Would he be able to use Jalen Reagor a little more? Because I do think that, you look at a guy like Justin Jefferson, who's playing in a system very similar to Arthur Smith. It's not identical, guys. Please don't mistake that. But there are way more similarities between Arthur Smith's system and what's going on in Minnesota than Doug's and what was going on in Minnesota. Like, they're different worlds, if you look at it that way. So, could you make him that kind of guy? Right? There's a lot of questions that encompass this system, right? How would Travis Fulgham fit it, right? I think Travis Fulgham could be a guy to keep your eye on in this type of system. Quez Watkins has a lot of that, if you hit him in stride, he can hurt you. Every now and then, sneaking Hightower over the top on play action could hurt you. Like, they're definitely, what would this leave J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? Would Greg Ward Jr. even be bothered to be brought back in this type of system? Like they're, because he's a free agent technically, guys. So there are a lot of questions to answer with this particular type of system, right? And we haven't even got into Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. Like, could this, like, taking the ball out of Carson's hands a little more? I don't think you would limit it to the degree that you did Tannehill, but you're certainly going to limit it. Could that be a saving grace here, right? Could you return back to the 2017 form where we were running the ball heavy, right? I mean, it wasn't quite 50-50, but it was pretty close, guys. I mean, it was right on cue. I mean, could that return us back here, right? What could he do if Jalen Hurts ends up being the guy? And I don't think that's what's going to happen just judging from the external things from the offseason, but I don't know, guys, to be honest. None of us know until they get to camp. But could he build something around Jalen Hurts if he had to, right? Could he use the skill set of Jalen Hurts? Like, all these things to me are really great questions. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all so much for doing it. If you want to support the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. This is a long video. I hope it, was helpful. So leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about bringing in Arthur Smith. What do you think, guys? What do you think about this whole situation? His dad is a minority owner in Washington, so just keep that in mind, too. All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out of here.